No, I'm putting it in my hand, in my pocket now.
So, good afternoon, everybody. I think now we've all solved the technical difficulty of actually turning on your screen. Everybody can see who's on screen. So I'll just do the usual reminders for those who are joining us remotely. First one being all mobile phones to be on silent, please. And everybody joining remotely, if you can, please keep yourself muted at all times. If you do want to ask a question or make a comment, if you raise the virtual hand on the screen, and the mayor will then call you. If you only unmute yourself once you've been called, and then you can speak, and then you can put yourself back on mute straight away afterwards. If you do have to leave at any point, if you can let us know either by raising your hand and telling us, or by putting a message in the chat to tell us that you've had to do that. But if you can also bear in mind that if you do not hear the whole of a debate, then you are not allowed to vote on that item. When we come to the recommendations, I will try and do better this week, Councillor Gibbs, and remember to ask everybody to vote, and we'll call that out whilst everybody in the chamber votes on the device in front of them. So if we can ask everybody to ensure that they have their cameras on throughout the whole of the meeting, and then Mr. Mayor, I'll hand back to you for you to start.
Thank you, Monitoring Officer. Put under our Christo. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Full Council special meeting on today, Monday, the 27th of November 2023. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and may be broadcast by the authority's internet site. The images and sound recording may also be used for training purposes within the authority. Item number 1, apologies for absence. Okay, thank you. Item 2, declarations of interest. Members are reminded of their personal responsibility to declare any personal and prejudicial interest in respect to matters contained in this agenda in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government and Finance Act 1992 relating to council tax, the Local Government Act 2000, the Council's Constitution and the Members' Code of Conduct. Are there any declarations? No, no one is indicating. So agenda item number 3, statement accounts 2022 to 23, to consider the report of the Chief Executive. Councillor Andrew Barry.
Statement of accounts 22-23. We have the final audited accounts on annual governance statement for our financial year 2022-23 at Appendix 1, page 13. The report covers revenue, capital reserves and our financial position as at the 31st of March 2023, along with our annual governance statement and audit report. For members following on modern.gov, annual governance statement, page 127, audit Wales report is Appendix 2, page 181. Mr. Mayor, we have with us tonight Liam Hull, our new 151 officer, and Adele Lewis for the statement of accounts. Liam will also give comment in relation to the annual governance statement. And from Audit Wales, we have Alice King, our audit manager, to present the audit of the accounts. Mr. Mayor, as in previous years, if I can have your permission to bring in the various contributors before taking council to the recommendation. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, we have returned consecutive surpluses for a number of years now. Challenges such as Storm Dennis, COVID-19 have been seen by this authority continually raise its game and perform to the highest standards. And it would be easy for us to look at the audited accounts 22-23 as another report about a successful financial year. But to put 22-23 in context, let me just remind Council of what happened in that financial year. October 2022, inflation rose to 11.1%, a 41-year high. We began May 22 with interest rates at 1% and saw 7 rises in that financial year to take interest rates by the end of our financial year, March 2023, to 4.25, the highest for 14 years. Members will remember I described the council how swift action by our accountancy team saved the council hundreds of thousands of pounds worth in savings in the most volatile financial years that we've known for many, many years. February 2022, Russia, of course, invaded Ukraine, sending food, fuel, energy markets into turmoil. Turmoil that was felt ultimately here by this authority through increased costs. We were just 2 years out the pandemic. We had 3 prime ministers, 4 chancellors, and if that wasn't enough, in September 22, Kwasi Kwarteng threw the economy off a cliff. Again, a very difficult financial environment to operate for this authority. A quick glance back over our shoulder at 2022-23, and we can see why. I thought it important to frame what we were about to debate in terms of the incredible performance, yet again, by the authority, by all involved. To summarise, revenue outturn, £1.504 million surplus. Our capital programme saw the authority spend £38.5 million from a planned £40.4 million. Our general reserves at the 31st of March 2023 stood at £5.723 million, or 4% of the budgeted net revenue expenditure, and at the upper limit of our corporate policy reserves. At 7.3.1, the paragraph starts, Mr. Mayor, at the 31st of December 22. That should obviously read 31st of March 2023. So that's 7.3.1, just for note, for accuracy. Our annual governance statement was considered this afternoon at the Governance and Audit Committee, chaired by Martin Veal, along with our audit report, from Audit Wales, presented by Alice. At that point, if I can ask Liam, our new 151 officer, to take us through the annual accounts and a statement on the governance statement. Thank you, Liam.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Barry. So I'm not going to take you through the accounts page by page, we're pleased to know. So the statement of accounts is one of the cornerstones of financial governance, and it demonstrates a well-run, well-led organisation that's in a relatively stable position to tackle the financial challenges that all local authorities are currently facing. Usable reserves have remained fairly consistent across the 2 years and what I deem to be appropriate levels. And whilst net assets have increased significantly over the course of the year, this is mainly due to an increase in property, plant and equipment that support the provision of the services that we provide. The annual governance statement details how the organisation ensures it continues to be run effectively and outlines the steps it takes to provide assurance in this area. And that involves an assessment from the head of internal audit, who's provided reasonable assurance in that regard. Detail of the governance challenges that the authority faces is set out in part 7 of the annual governance statement, and commentary around progress on last year's issues is detailed in part 8. And then just to flag that it's an unusual year this year in terms of a change in Section 151 officer during the audit process. So just to give you some assurance in terms of the assurance measures that I've taken, in terms of reviewing the accounts, working with Adele and the team to provide myself with that assurance, working with Audit Wales colleagues as well, who provide an update shortly, but also Steve Jones, the previous Section 151 officer, confirmed on his last day that the position that the accounts were in, he would have been happy to sign them off. So that's an additional level of assurance that I'd like to provide. And also take the opportunity to thank Steve, Adele, and the rest of the accountancy team for the hard work and dedication in pulling the accounts together in incredibly challenging circumstances with really tight audit timelines as well. So I just wanted to take that opportunity, and happy to take any questions and comments at the appropriate time.
Thank you, Liam. We'll come to questions and comments once I'm sure once we finish the report and the recommendations. If I can hand over to Alice now from Audit Wales to take us through an overview of the audited accounts.
Yeah, hi, thank you everyone. I'm here to present to you our audit of accounts report for the financial year 22-23. I'll presume that you've had a chance to read our report, so I won't go through every page, but I'm willing to take questions on anything that's contained within the report at the appropriate time. So starting with our introduction, I'd just like to remind you all that we don't audit every pound that's in the accounts. We use the concept of materiality when we audit. So that level for Merthyr is £2.579 million for this year. Our reporting level is the level of errors that we will keep in your report and present to you as those charged with governance is 129k, and anything below that we don't report, but we do discuss with management. Finally, there's always some areas which we deem to be material by nature, and we set a lower level materiality to those areas. So that includes this year the senior officer remuneration, which is set at £1,000, and related party relationships with senior officers or members, which is set at £10,000. So moving on then to the status of the audit, as we've mentioned by Liam, that this year has been challenging in terms of timeline, and so there was a number of items outstanding when we provided the papers for this council meeting. I'm pleased to say though that all of those areas are now complete, and we've been able to finalise the areas of work we've outlined. We've been able to check the audit amendments to the audited version of accounts. I'll pass to Liam and Adele to run you through some changes that we had to make to the accounts after the report pack was pulled together for you. We've cleared all of our review of the audit file and any review points, and there's just a number of the usual items outstanding before we sign the audit opinion with the Auditor General on the 29th of November. So just to conclude on that point, I guess, is that we have substantially completed our audit work. So the good news for Merthyr this year is that we're proposing an unqualified, true and fair opinion of your financial statements, which is a credit to Adele and the team. There are a number of amendments, as there always are. These are outlined at Appendix 3. We haven't deemed there to be any significant issues arising from the audit this year that we want to bring to your attention. And we will be producing a management letter with recommendations that we will provide at a later date. Given the tight timeline this year, we thought it would be better to do that separately. So in summary, an unqualified audit opinion, relatively low level of amendments, and Adele and the audit the accounts team have worked very hard. I think you're very much in the top 10 of local government accounts that have been signed before the 30th of November deadline this year, which is no mean feat. And yeah, we'd like to thank Liam for his hard work coming into what was probably the worst week of the audit as the Section 151 officer. So yes, I'm happy to take any questions on anything in our report, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Alice. And just before I take the recommendations, obviously thanks. It's getting a bit monotonous thanking Steve, to be honest. I've been thinking for 7 months when he was going, but again, a sterling job. And Adele obviously leading the team to another successful sort of completion of the accounts, and everybody really, because it's not just accountancy. It's it's across the board. It's a team effort. It's Ellis and all the directors, it's all the staff. It's the members in terms of that governance over scrutiny and watching every penny. So congratulations to everybody really for another really good year. And I'll take us to the recommendations at 2.1, 2.2. 2.1, the audited statement of accounts for 22-23, being the financial year ending 31st of March 2023, be approved. And 2.2, the annual governance statement 22-23, be approved. I move the statement of accounts. Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor David Hughes.
I just noticed that Pant and Dow's Boys and Girls Club are in the audit accounts, so can I declare interest there?
What we've agreed, Councillor Hughes, is that nobody needs to declare an interest in the whole thing. If any questions arise on a budget line that concerns you or where you have an interest, you would declare an interest at that point, and then if necessary, leave the meeting at that point.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that, please?
Before I second the report, Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to thank all the staff as well for their hard work. And it would be remiss of us not to mention, you know, all the challenges that we had in 2022 was the sad passing of Her Majesty the Queen and the investiture of the King, which obviously threw up quite a few challenges for the team as well. So on that note, can I please second the report, Mr. Mayor?
Okay, thank you. So are there any questions on the report, please? Councillor Clive Dudley.
Yes, on page 22, it was noticed that the school transport bill, there's net budget deficit of 885,000, which seemed a huge amount. You know, and I just wondered if there are any follow-up, the reasons why it was in such a deficit.
And if I just make clear to the meeting that Councillor Andrew Barry is now leaving because he has a personal prejudicial interest in matters related to school transport.
Oh.
I don't know if at this stage now we've got a question on a budget line, if there's anybody else who feels that they need to declare an interest. And if not, then Liam.
Yes, thank you. So firstly, the heads of the Valley A465 works had a detrimental impact to the cost of school transport costs in the financial period, and that's gone on into this year as well. But also we had to retender for a number of school transport contracts during the year, and the costs of those when those bids came in meant that there was an increase. That's on top of the rise in fuel costs, etc., that are related to transport costs, which were the key impacts last year.
If I could have one follow-up question. How much have we asked the Welsh Government for, do we know, for compensation? Because this road has cost us a lot of money for school transport. Do you know how much we've asked for, or no?
And ask for a specific figure, but we are in dialogue with Welsh Government in terms of, you're exactly right, this is a Welsh Government scheme, and ultimately it feels as though we are being penalised by that. Just not linked to that question, but Alice mentioned that there were some changes to the accounts since the report was circulated. So if I could just run through them very quickly.
Right, yeah.
So there was an adjustment to note 8 within the accounts, which had no impact at all on the bottom line, but it was a question of figures being grossed up, and that has fed through into the pie charts and tables on pages 5, 6, and 7, where the pie charts are correct, but the percentages around the outside of them have been amended. So just to flag people's attention to that. And then also something that I should have mentioned is that Governance and Audit Committee considered the Statement of Accounts and the Annual Governance Statement this afternoon, and they endorsed them and recommend them to Council for approval this afternoon.
Thanks.
Can we get Andrew back now? Can someone? Thank you.
As long as nobody else is going to ask questions on that budget.
Okay, so Councillor Declan Salmon then, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In regards to Appendix 3, I just had a question on within Note 14, capital commitments, the total value of future commitments was not accurately reflected. Following our substantive testing of capital contracts, we identified a number of under and overstatements, which in totality led to 1.6 million understatement of the disclosure. I just wanted to know, how can we understate that amount, and what exactly would they for? And if you had anything to add on that.
Yeah, I don't have the details of each of the items that we tested to hand. I think Adele might correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there was more up-to-date contract information when we came to audit it than was available at the time of the draft accounts were produced. And that led to some discrepancies where we thought it should be more or less included within that disclosure. So it was mainly a timing issue and having the correct and up-to-date information from the various areas of the council that feed into that note. So I don't have, yeah, as I said, the specific examples, but I think it was an area we raised in the audit plan as a risk because it is quite often a difficult area for yourselves in producing that note. So we'll be looking to work with Adele and the team as part of our post-project learning to improve that going forward, hopefully bring the number of amendments down for next year.
But obviously it didn't raise any red flags for you guys.
No, it didn't. It seemed like an administrative error
Yeah.
more than anything. And obviously it's only a disclosure note, doesn't feed into the main statements of the accounts. It's a forward-looking note. So we had no concerns about any other completeness issues in that respect.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Salmon. Any further questions? No, no one has indicated, so we'll move on to comments then, please. Any comments? Councillor Declan Salmon.
Quick one. It's a thank you to Liam for answering the question that came up in audit committee today in regards to how much it cost in regards to school buses. Thank you very much for your email. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further comments? No, no comments. So we'll take that to the vote then, please.
And then if I can ask councillors who are joining us remotely, and I'll go around the screen in the order that I could see you. So Councillor Claire Jones, are you voting for, against or abstaining? For. Thank you. Councillor Paula Layton, are you voting for, against or abstaining? For. Thank you. Councillor Kevin Gibbs, are you voting for, against or abstaining?
For.
Thank you. Councillor Anna Williams-Price, are you for, against or abstaining? For. Thank you. And Councillor Lisa Mitten, are you for, against or abstaining? For. Thank you. And I'm just checking. I think that is everybody. That's carried, Mr. Mayor. Would you like to just tell us whether you're voting for, against or abstaining? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So agenda item number 4, letter of representation 2022-23 to consider the report of the chief executive, and that's Councillor Andrew Barry again, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Letter of representation 22-23. As always, the letter covers the authority's representations by yourself in this instance, Mr. Mayor, and the 151 officer Liam Hull, to our external auditor, Audit Wales, in relation to the report in relation to the accounts. The report can be found at page 201 of your modern.gov and not on page 181 as the agenda suggests, with a copy of the letter to the Auditor General for Wales at Appendix 1 at page 205. The letter is our assurance to Audit Wales Office that our Chief Finance Officers fulfilled all obligations in preparing our financial statements for financial year 2022-23 and has given a true and fair view of the financial position of the authority. Audit Committee received the report 23rd of October covering our responsibilities, the information provided to our external auditor, financial statements, transactions, assets and liabilities, signed by the Mayor and Chief Finance Officer, where our statement of accounts is signed by the CEO and leader. One recommendation, as always, Mr. Mayor, 2.1 representations regarding the 2022-23 financial statements be approved and communicated to the appointed auditor. I move, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Seconder, Councillor Garrett-Solly.
I'd like to second the report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So are there any questions? No, no questions. Are there any comments then, please? No, no comments. So we'll take that to a vote, please.
Thank you. And again, I'll go around the screen as I can see people and also Councillor Jenkins, but starting with Councillor Claire Jones, are you for, against or abstaining?
For, please.
Thank you. Councillor Paula Layton, are you for, against or abstaining?
For.
Thank you. Councillor Kevin Gibbs, are you for, against or abstaining?
For.
Thank you. Councillor Anna Williams-Price, are you for, against or abstaining?
For.
Thank you. Councillor Lisa Mitten, are you for, against or abstaining?
For.
Thank you. Councillor Julia Jenkins, are you for, against or abstaining? Thank you. And that's everybody, and it's carried, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So item number 5, to deal with any other urgent business or correspondence. Just like to wish Gavin Gwen the best of luck from everybody, I'm sure. He's looking to add the European title to his British and Commonwealth titles this weekend. So that's good luck from myself, and I'm sure everybody else would like to join in with those good wishes as well. Item number 6, to receive communications from their worship the Mayor. There is none. So the meeting is closed. Thank you very much for attending. Yep.